All right.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Leafs Convo, a little bit of a sneak show on this Thursday, April 25th, 2024. Norm in London, Mike in Buffalo, coming off a 4-2 Leafs loss to the Bruins in Game 3 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Wow, Mike. This one had the makings of a great opportunity for the Maple Leafs, and they squandered it after all of that momentum in the first period, hitting everything that moved. Some great saves originally, or initially, from Ilya Samsonov. Then the 0 for 5 on the power play, kind of falling a bit to sleep in the second period, not really generating that momentum that was required. And then in the third period, it was the Brad Marchand show, which none of us want to watch. Unfortunately, we had to. We were force-fed it, and now the Leafs are down in the series. What a good opportunity that had gone to waste there, Michael. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Norm. Yeah, there was that, and we can dissect the game last night. But I think the overall focus has to be looked at, and I tweeted this out last night, and you can't make this up. In the last 8 playoff games at Scotiabank Arena, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 1-7. 1-7.
Mm-hmm.
They lost Game 7 against Tampa in 2022. They beat Tampa. They lost Game 1 and Game 5 to Tampa in the first round series. They won Game 2. They won that series on the strength of 3 overtime victories in Tampa. And then they lost all 3 against Florida, and now the first game at home against the Bruins, giving them back home ice advantage. Maybe there is no home, it's home ice disadvantage. And I don't think you can make up all the excuses that you want. It's the fans that they're quiet. It's this, that. That's a load of crap. It really comes down to the team and how they perform, whether it's even strength or special teams or the coach behind the bench or whatever. This team in 8 games has won once on home ice. That is atrocious. It is abysmal. And if they lose this series, it's the reason that there's going to have to be some significant changes to this team.
This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. We're practically giving 2023 F-150 away. Well, not exactly, but the amount of money that we are peeling back from the MSRP through discount support from the manufacturer is outrageous. You can actually get a decent little lease payment for what you'd pay for a kind of a moderate SUV. See me, call me at Norman Oak Ridge Ford on Instagram. I will look after you. Norman.james@oakridgeford.com. Keep those contact information close if you have any questions about your next automobile buying experience. Even if it's not through me, I'll be looking after you. Talking to people at work today and just Leaf fans in general, everybody's really down because the feeling in that game early was, Toronto's about to respond here. Everybody's throwing the body. The fans are into it. They're moving the puck, lots of chances. And then we get into the second period, nothing goes down. They fall behind and come back and give up another goal 30 seconds in. It's almost as if fans realize that no matter how hard the Maple Leafs try or how effective they would like to be, they just don't have an answer for this Bruins team. And as you explained, there's more to it than just the ineptitude facing this particular club. It's playing at home in general, rising to the occasion in general. And, we can talk about how things need to change in the offseason, and it seems like it's going to be closer than we all would like. But, Mike, if you're a fan of the team, and many, like, how should you be feeling today, and what kind of positive attitude can you gin up going into Saturday's Game 4?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if you can. Because the response that I got on social media last night to, the things that I was messaging out, and I'm just trying, was not reacting emotionally. It's just sort of looking at this team and you come to expect whatever can go wrong does go wrong at the worst possible time. And complaining about officiating is a loser's argument. Do I think that the McAvoy trip of Tavares late in regulation was a trip? No. Do I think that Marchand tripped Bertuzzi before the Trent Frederick goal. Yes, maybe there was a little bit of an embellishment, but there was definitely a trip. It was a lot more of a trip than it was a slash on Bertuzzi on Marchand in game 2. So are they getting the calls? No. But you have to say this. At that point, they had 4 power plays. I think Boston had 1. Their power play is 1 for 11 in this series with all this firepower that they have, not showing up at the right particular time. Can you blame that on the structure of the power play? Can you blame that on the efficiency of the Boston penalty kill? All I know is that a power play up until the end of February, that was one of the top 3 or 4 power plays in the league. Now, since the beginning of March, they've been, I think they were the worst in the league percentage-wise. And now 1 for 11. Couple that with their pathetic penalty kill.
Right.
And it's a recipe for disaster. You cannot win in the playoffs if you don't have good special teams, or at least special teams that don't kill you. And right now, their special teams are killing them right now.
Alan Howick in Decentraland. The Bruins are masters of diving, cheating, and general BS. See, Alan, that's the thing. The Bruins are, and the Leafs aren't. I mean, it's just true. The Bruins have an answer for everything the Leafs come at them with. And that's so demoralizing as a fan right now. Watching the Leafs try as they might and come away with a loss. Really, really frustrating. Mitch Marner got on the board with a beautiful pass, and you thought that maybe that would generate some momentum for the other guys among the big 4 who were on the ice last night. Austin Matthews, pointless. John Tavares, pointless. William Nylander, I don't know, testing for concussions. I mean,
the news came out about an hour ago, and it was a report by Elliot Friedman that what Nylander has been dealing with since Thursday has been a migraine. And that, I just heard his radio spot on Fan 590 in Toronto, and he essentially said, I'm sure the Leafs, the club is not happy that I'm reporting that it got out. But honestly, the talk out there was so much wild bullshit in terms of like, well, he's being benched or this or that. No, they would be playing him if there wasn't something wrong. But the fact that something is wrong at the worst possible time, you can't blame Nylander for being, either concussed or having a migraine. It's unfortunate that it's happened at the wrong time, but then it's up to the players that are available to step up. And honestly, except for, now again, this team scored 1 goal in game 1, 3 goals, and they won in game 2. Now 2 goals in game 3. They scored 2 goals or less. What was the streak? 8 games in a row until they scored 3 in game 2. This is the second best offense in the NHL, and they can't break through. And it's, I heard, I won't say the name of the commentator, but somebody on Toronto radio was doing a guest spot this morning and was asked about, why the Leafs are having trouble scoring and having such a bad record at home. And he says, well, they're playing good teams. Are you kidding me? Yeah. All these teams are good. They're supposed to be good. They're supposed to overcome this. Right. Well, they're not doing a very good job of that.
Domi with an assist last night. He looked good in the early going. And, after the first period, the panel is talking. I think it was Elliot Friedman who suggested the Leafs should just offer this guy a new contract because of what he saw in that first period. I don't know if he felt the same way after periods 2 and 3. Mike, you mentioned that complaining about the officials is a loser's, way of complaining and trying to justify why things aren't working out in their favor. When you're playing from behind, not only on the score sheet, but psychologically, when you're not assertive and you don't own the game, you are the Toronto Maple Leafs, especially versus the Boston Bruins. This is why they are who they are, right? And again, demoralizing for the fans. There's another game to go. They may as well tie it, or they might tie it, and then we'd be 2-2, and then there's a little bit of hope, and then it's drowned out by another disappointing game, and then you're up against the precipice of elimination. On William Nylander, if he were to have started, healthy in this series and had been there from the get-go, do you think anything would have changed? And do you think the results would be different as of today?
I mean, it's tough to really quantify that. I do know that that third line of Yarncroke, Holmberg, and Robertson really has not had much of an impact on the series. Robertson's had a couple scoring opportunities, but just factor in Robertson out and a healthy Nylander in. I mean, I'm sure there would be an upgrade there, but who knows whether they would score or make the difference in any of the two losses. I do know this. It's like, I mean, you can dissect what's going on as sort of just a paralysis by analysis type of thing. But I look at the game last night, and the Leafs were hitting, they were physical, they were up 1-0. And I'm sorry. And even though he made 2 saves on 2 breakaways on James Van Riemsdyk, and I think the other one was Pavel Zacha, the goal that Ilya Samsonov let in for Trent Frederick, a short side goal, is inexcusable. It is a momentum killer. It is an absolute. It's unacceptable.
Right.
Those are the type of goals. Now I thought he was not good in game 1, and he was very good in game 2. And in this game, I didn't. He had no chance on the Marchand goal. You could question about the DeBrusk power play goal, but that goal had to be stopped. And who knows what happens from that point forward had he stopped a shot that he should have stopped.
So the Leafs don't have a goaltender who can make that save in a pivotal moment when the chips are down and the momentum is swinging against them. In the same way, they don't have a group of players who are just bona fide leaders who will will this team to the success that it needs. There's just a lot that's missing from this group. We knew it to start the season. We knew it during the season. We knew it coming into the playoffs. We know it now. Good comment here from, where is it? Deadly Dad Gaming. I was at the game last night. It wasn't as bad as everyone thinks for the Leafs. They could have easily won that game, but they let the Bruins, Marchand, get under their skin and took bad penalties. There you go. Leadership. Right. And here's the thing. If you're a bunch of choir boys out there just getting pushed around, we will complain about you for getting pushed around. It's hard to walk that fine line, Mike.
Well, I mean, I know that there was a lot of criticism for what Domi did to Jeremy Swayman during a TV timeout where he accidentally on purpose ran into him. And Jim Montgomery, the Bruins coach, said, well, that must mean Swayman is in their head. I mean, that's sort of the gamesmanship of the playoffs. Now, usually the goaltenders, it's hands off when it comes to that.
Isn't that what we want from Domi? Isn't that what guys like Kachuk do? Isn't that what the winning teams do? Get in the opposition's head. And, they play with fire, and a lot of times they'll get burned, but in other circumstances, it's a job done and an effective one done.
Right, but the problem is they were fortunate to have gotten away with that. If you get away with it, fine. But the problem is that like Jake McCabe cross-checking a Bruins player in the ribs, that got called. Bertuzzi got called for the slash that didn't occur on Marchand. There was a couple other penalties that were, the Benoit shooting it over the glass. I mean, those things pile up, and the difference here is Boston can get away with things like that because their penalty kill is good enough to not allow the Leafs to seize the momentum. Whereas Toronto, it hurts even more that they take a stupid penalty and it ends up in the back of their net. They can't do it. They can't get away with it. They can't play what the Bruins play because they're not as good as they are.
It's psychological, Mike. Do you think the Bruins are afraid to go down a man to the Maple Leafs team that cannot score a goal on the power play? Like, what are they afraid of? And until there's a moment or a series of moments that result in favor of the Maple Leafs, that by association change the way the Bruins feel about the Leafs. And, go from a position of, we don't give a crap about these guys, and we can take them out pretty much anytime we want to. Holy shit, this team has changed, and we better get our shit together, or we're going to lose. We're not going to see any difference in the results. And again, we're still hoping and wishing and dreaming that something will happen to ignite a fire under the Leafs' asses. But, I don't think anybody should be that surprised by the way the series is trended. It's just unfortunate after that start last night that we're here. I did think that they could have gone ahead in the series 2-1, especially with everybody fired up in the first game in Toronto. But you know what? They've played from behind against the Bruins all season long. This is nothing new. Last word to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Leafs should really care what the Bruins think of them, except for they should hate them because they're beating them. And that's what the Leafs feel right now. The Leafs hate Brad Marchand and the stuff that he gets away with because he scored the game-winning goal. He's an all-star. He's probably a Hall of Famer, and he gets away with stuff. And Pasternak is one of the best players in the league. Charlie McAvoy is an annoying little, but a really talented defenseman. You tell me you wouldn't take Charlie McAvoy on the Toronto Maple Leafs? Of course you would. You'd take Pasternak. You'd take Marchand. You envy what they have and what they make and what they do with what I think is less talent. They have a structure. They play well. They annoy you to death, and they win. And I think right now the city of Toronto and Toronto Maple Leaf fans are tired of losing. They're tired of the excuses, and they just want to win. They don't care how, they just want to win. But right now, I don't know if this team is capable of doing that.
We've been screaming and crying for pushback all season long. We wanted to see it from the guys who were on the team. We wanted the management to bring players in who could fulfill that obligation. They did that. And in this series so far, they have been pushing back at their own peril on many occasions. It's just the Boston Bruins are here for it. They are. They really are. Any changes that the Leafs should make to get back into the series for Saturday night's Game 4?
Well, I mean, if it was me, I would go with Wall, but I think they're going to stick with Samsonov. There is a possibility of TJ Brody getting back in the lineup. The question is for who? I know Spike 11 in the chat is saying Liljegren. I think it should be for Benoit. I think they should you cannot put Brody on the right side, which if you take out Liljegren, you're putting him on the right side. I think he's got to play the left. That would either mean moving Edmondson to the right or having him play on the right with somebody like Riley or with McCabe. And I don't think that works. So maybe Brody gets back in the lineup. But we'll see.
And Nylander?
They keep saying it's possible. I'll adopt until I see it. I won't believe it.
And he's not going to take over the series himself, especially if he's fighting off something. He'd be a nice contributor to a group of players who are generating the momentum and a positive forward swing that would lend to Nylander's assistance and talents. But they've got to get back in the series with a winning Game 4, going down 3-1, and expecting William Nylander to come in and do something otherworldly in Game 5 is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. So we take it a game at a time. We take it a day at a time, Mike. 2 days off for these teams to collect their thoughts going into Saturday's Game 4. Mike, I know you'll be writing about it at hockeybuzz.com, and then you and I can also discuss when we're going to reconvene for the OGs and converts. Will it be a Saturday night post-game extravaganza, or will we wait for the Sunday spectacular to roll around? One of the major questions in your lives, guys. For Mike, I'm Norm. Thanks for joining us for this sneak afternoon show. The Leafs Convo is out.